continue on, I told you earlier in the jury selection process, the case would be challenging, we'll have some difficult, emotional moments. The case will be decided on sworn testimony and evidence. Emotions from the witnesses going to be shown. I'll give you further instruction on how to consider the testimony, but the effects of the emotion shouldn't be considered, and I'll explain that later at the end. But we need to be cognizant and aware that emotions will be shown during the trial. Thank y'all for y'all's consideration. Ms. Mays.
Okay, we would object and renew our motion.
Okay. The objection is noted and my ruling remains.
Ms. Kaiser, I only have two more. Want to show you a couple of items and ask you whether or not you had a chance to identify them.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you whether or not you had an opportunity to listen to some recorded calls.
Yes.
All right. And specifically, a call that was recorded between the defendant, Timothy Jones, and two other individuals.
Yes, ma'am.
Who were the two other individuals in that call?
Tim Jones Sr. and his aunt Bernadine.
Were you able to recognize all of those voices?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubt in your mind as to the identity of the voices on that call,
No.
including that of Timothy Jones?
No.
Then I'm going to show you what is marked 51919 and 51919 and ask you whether or not you had an opportunity to review two videos
Yes, ma'am.
and who was depicted on these videos
My daughter Mira crying.
and who was the other person on the other video.
My son Elias.
All right. And do these videos bear your initials?
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding these videos, how were they sent to you?
They were sent to my phone by Tim Jones.
And can you tell us whether those videos were recorded and whether you identified them in the same format in which they were originally sent to your phone by the phone of Timothy Jones Jr.?
Yes, in the video of Mira, it is Tim's voice and Mira sent to my phone, and the one of Elias is just Elias sent to my phone by Tim Jones.
This will be, Your Honor, 188 and 189 for identification only. And then 186 and 187 have been identified and are the subject of a certified authentication. So we would offer them as evidence at this time. This will be a matter of law at a later time, Your Honor. I have nothing further from this time.
Okay.
Ms. Kaiser, do you mind if I call you Amber?
I don't mind.
Okay. Amber, we've met before.
Yes, sir.
Mine before.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to take up very much of your time, y'all. You talked about when you and Tim first met. That was after he had gotten out of boot camp program that he had gone to prison for.
I don't know how long he was already out of it when I met him. I just met him at one of our jobs at a workplace.
At that point in time, he wasn't drinking.
No,
He wasn't smoking.
no,
He was going to church,
yes,
and y'all were going to church together.
yes.
Were y'all going more than once a week or just once a week?
Yeah, we would go a couple times a week.
Would you describe Tim as very religious?
Yes,
Um,
yes,
that church, I know you talked about Tim's views about women,
yes.
but those views were the same as what was shared by the church, right?
It was, I think at some point, Tim twisted a little bit to suit himself. But yes, overall,
The message a little bit wrong.
yes,
And that was the church that y'all were going to before you started Mississippi State
yeah, we were actually married at that church.
with Pastor Sutton, right?
Yes,
And then when you moved to Mississippi State, he continued to go to church a lot.
yes,
You continued in the same faith,
yes,
the same type of faith.
yes,
And the Pentecostal faith was, you had these moments where you could sort of emote to God as you saw fit, right?
right,
And Tim sometimes did that, like speaking in tongues.
yes,
That was part of the church process.
yes,
And that's where he took the kids to church.
yes,
And there was a book written by a guy named Gideon Henson. You recognize this book?
yes, godly seed, yes,
And is this a book that you and Tim got about how to raise kids?
yes, sir.
And is this a book that you and Tim got together and read
We
together?
did, and we didn't even get through the whole thing, I don't think. We just kind of skimmed through and picked little things out, yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask you if you could flip through this book and see if this is the book, if you recognize it as the book that you
I
and Tim-
recognize it. I do recognize it. Yes. Yeah, we highlighted a few things. This is it.
Yeah, Rudolph for number 122 in the
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
122 is the book. Is it submitted without objection?
I think, like a lot of marriages, you had good times
Yes,
and some not good times.
yes,
When y'all were having good times, y'all made a lot of movies, a lot of videos,
we did.
and y'all made those as a family with kids.
Yes, sir, we did.
And those were stored. Tim had those stored on a hard drive.
Yeah, we backed them up to hard drive and had them on our big computer, and we did that together so we wouldn't lose them.
Okay. And then when you and Tim moved to South Carolina, Tim changed. Is that right?
I'd say his anger issues got worse.
You have listened to a phone call between yourself that you recorded and Tim Sr., is that right?
Yes,
And in that phone call, you told Tim Sr. that Tim had changed when you moved to South
he did.
Carolina. You went on to say that as far as his anger problems go, you thought that he needed to seek medical professional.
He's just flip-flopping.
Mood swings.
Mood swings, flip-flopping.
You described it at one point as bipolar.
Yeah,
You said that talking with Tim was like walking on eggshells because you never knew how he was going to respond.
exactly.
On good days, Tim would buy you flowers or write you a letter or bring you dinner home, and on bad days, he was always paranoid, like you were out to get him.
The thing with Tim is that you didn't really have to do anything. If I could say that, you didn't have to do anything to get him angry. Tim was just angry. There were more bad times down here than there were good. I'll put it that way. It got worse.
During that time, Tim was a good father.
He was always a good father while we were married, yes.
He was never abusive towards the children.
Not towards the children, no.
Is part of the religious principles that he gravitated to, and part of the doctrine of raising the godly seed was corporal punishment.
I'm not understanding.
Sure, that spanking, that you were, that was spankings were.
He did. He didn't spank often.
Okay.
He didn't. Tim and I were not big spankers in our house. He did more of push-ups and squats and stuff.
And writing.
And writing, yes. Writing what they did wrong and apologizing for it. But it was never to an extreme.
Right.
While we were married, no.
Okay. I'm just showing you this. And we're going to show you an affidavit that's been marked as defense exhibit number 123 for identification and ask you if you recognize it.
Yes. Wow, hold on. Yes.
And that's an affidavit from you,
Yes, it is.
and that's signed by you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Court Stella. One more thing, sorry, I forgot. This check that you talked about on direct examination, what was the date that check was written?
2/8/2004. Or 14, I'm sorry.
And what's the check number on there?
104.
And was that check ever cashed?
No, it wasn't. And I think this is when I probably lost my job at Walmart. So I had asked him to wait until my check had gone through. But this was one of it. I don't think he cashed this one.
Okay. And your divorce is final in October of 2013, is that right?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Ms. Kaiser, he was asking you about the term bipolar, or what do you mean when you use that term?
To me, it just meant that he was flip-flopping. I mean, it was getting worse. It was like a Jekyll and Hyde thing. Every time I turned around, it was, am I going to, pardon my language, piss Tim off today? Or is he going to be nice? That's what I meant by that.
Were you referring to an actual diagnosis of bipolar?
No, I just meant that as just what I stated.
Thank you, no.
All right, you may step down.
Take hold, Heather Clary, stand.
On.
She got it forward.
Okay.
Once you're seated, state your full name, spelling your last name.
Heather Clary, Clary.
Right. All right, folks, I'm gonna go back over something. Remember your witness list? Made all attempts to get all the potential witnesses on the list without Ms. Clary. I want y'all raise your hand if this is appropriate. If not, keep your hands down. Does anybody know Miss Clary in any fashion whatsoever? Not related by blood, marriage, close personal friends, work with, socialize with, in any fashion? If so, raise your hand. No hands raised. All right. Thank y'all. Good.
Ms. Clary, what are you working for?
Greenwood County Sheriff's Office.
Pull the mic towards you and talk to you.
My apologies. Greenwood County Sheriff's Office.
And what do you do for the Greenwood County Sheriff's Office?
I'm a deputy with Uniform Patrol.
Back in 2014, were you employed at the Lexington County Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
What do you do there?
Crime scene investigator.
And as one of the duties of a crime scene investigator, you collect evidence and take photos, correct?
Correct.
How long had you been a crime scene investigator back in September of 2014?
Not very long. I just started the beginning of September.
So one of the first things you did then was respond on September 8th to Mr. Jones' residence, is that correct?
Yes.
What date was that?
That was September 8th, 2014.
What time did you go out there?
5:30 in the afternoon.
And did you take photographs of the residence the way that you found it?
Yes.
Two of the photographs I'm going to show you have already been marked for ID. That's 183 and 184. Do you recognize those two?
Yes.
And those are photographs that you took.
Yes.
And that's the way that you found those items.
Yes.
Did they fairly and accurately represent what you saw?
Yes.
The Honor, the state would move those two into evidence at this time.
No objection.
No objection. Photographs are in, and that's,
183 and
183 and 184, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, they're in.
Ms. Clary, I'm going to show you 4 more photographs, 190 through 193, and ask if you recognize those as photographs that you took.
Yes.
And did they fairly and accurately represent what you saw when you were executing the search warrant and photographing the residence on September 8th of 2014?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state would offer those 4 additional photos into evidence.
No objection.
No objection for the photographs in the search warrant September 8th.
Your Honor, some of these photos are dark. If I could have Ms. Clary step down from the stand.
You may.
Ms. Clary, the residence had 2 rooms for the 5 children, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you remember how the beds were separated between the 2 rooms?
I remember there was a bed and a crib in one room and then a bed and a set of bunk beds in the other.
Looking at 192 and 193, Are those the bed and the crib that you testified to that was in one room?
Yes.
Would you explain to the jury then the condition you found as far as sheets and blankets and comforters and things like that? As to the crib, states 193, what did you find?
The only items on the crib were the fitted sheet and then the blue blanket thing, as shown in the photograph.
States 193 was the bed that was in the same room as the crib,
Yes.
correct? And what was on that bed?
Just the fitted sheet, no other covering.
Follow me down this way. So as to the crib,
Yes.
what was on the crib?
Just the fitted sheet and the blue blanket, no other bedding.
And then the small bed that was in the same room as the crib?
Just the fitted sheet, no other bedding.
In the other bedroom, you testified there was a bed and then a set of bunk beds, is that correct?
Yes.
Looking at states 191 and 190 now, can you describe to the jury in 191 what we're looking at in the condition of the bed when you found it on September 8th?
It's just a normal bed with a mattress, no bedding.
.190 is the bunk beds that you testified to, and that is in the same room as the bed that we saw in 190, is that correct?
Correct.
Or 191, I apologize. So looking at 191 at the bunk beds, could you describe to the jury the condition of the beds as far as any bedding or lack of bedding thereof?
Just the mattresses and the bunk beds, no bedding.
All right, states 183 and 184 in evidence. What room are we in?
This is the room with the bed and the set of bunk beds.
All right, so that would have been 191 and 190.
Yes.
The poster bed and then the set of bunk beds.
Correct.
What, if anything, looking at states 183, did you find on the floor of that room?
There was a Woody doll in pieces.
.184 is a close-up of that, is that correct?
Yes.
You can have a seat, Ms. Cleary, thank you. I'm going to hand you a package sealed and ask if you recognize that.
Yes.
And in fact, do you see your initials on the seal?
Yes.
And have that ever been cut since you put the seal on it?
No.
And what does that bag contain?
The Woody doll.
You want to ask her, give her a scissors by the card. Ms. Cleary, would you cut that open and verify that that's what you collected?
Boy, am I glad to see you.
Do you recognize that as the item that you collected?
Yes.
And that is the Woody doll that's in pieces that we saw in the prior photographs?
Yes.
You want the state would offer that into evidence at this time?
Something been heard on that? That's, all right. Can we hear it here? All right.
take what offered in evidence.
Nothing additional.
All right. I want to accept the evidence, but I like the battery removed so we don't continue to hear the recording, because I think it'll keep doing that. So I'm directing that to be done, subject to it being lit into evidence. So that'll be done this afternoon. All right.
No further questions.
All right. Your witness.
No question, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Clary, you're free to go. Thank you. All right, the lawyers told me they've got two things that I've got to review before in the morning. I know we got some time constraints, so I'm gonna stop here for fear of letting the witness get us past some of our cutoff times. So we're through for the day, put stuff in the jury room. See you back in the morning, same time, about 8:45. We'll try to start at 9 o'clock sharp. Remember, do not discuss the case. If you have any issues, let me know. I'll help you resolve them. So thank you for y'all's day. See you in the morning.